Hey, Teak Nation, this is Zachary Scott, Director of Fraternal Growth at Teak Headquarters. Want to make sure I spend a little bit of time today talking to you guys about fall recruitment and how we can best prepare ourselves. If you haven't started thinking about it, unfortunately, you're a little bit behind the curve, but hopefully through this, we'll be able to get to where we need to be. First thing that we need to make sure we have in place, recruitment chairman and recruitment committee. Whether your Preakness is selecting your recruitment chairman for y'all, or if you guys are electing it as a group, we need to make sure that we have that person in place. That way we can hold the group accountable to recruitment practices and start setting goals for the recruitment. A major piece is to also stay involved and engaged with the university so we know whether we're having a virtual orientation over the summer, an in-person orientation over the summer, whether move-in is going to be delayed, or if we're going to continue following through to have a person-to-person move-in. We need to make sure we have all these pieces understood so that way we can both prepare for a virtual recruitment scenario and an in-person recruitment scenario. If you guys have questions about some of those pieces, please reach out to myself, Nick Kimball, our Director of Expansion, or Victor Casanova, one of our expansion coordinators. We're happy to get on the horn with you guys and walk through what some of those pieces might look like and how best to capitalize on them. Another piece to capitalize on, what are the connections and interactions that we had before quarantine took place? What are some people that we are familiar with maybe or not familiar with in our Zoom and online courses? For our deferred campuses or even our campuses that we are recruiting normally in the fall semester, how are we recruiting rising sophomores, the rising juniors and seniors? What are we doing to best prepare ourselves to utilize relationships that we've already built? And how are we finding ways to build new relationships through this virtual education period? It's never too late to form a new relationship. Ask someone how they're doing. Check in and see if they have enough toilet paper. If you've watched some of the other videos, you've heard me harp on that. Find new ways to connect with individuals. What are we doing to organize online recruitment practices with one another? If you've watched some of the other videos, again, Nick Kimball and I walk through what a scenario looks like maybe when you walk on the main thoroughfare of campus and you start a conversation with someone. It's extremely important to practice some of these conversations with your fellow brothers. You can also reach out to myself or the other members of the expansion and growth team. We're happy to hop on Zoom, hop on the phone, and walk through some of these. But it's extremely important that we walk through. Another piece is, what are we doing to organize online recruitment practices? If you've watched some of the other videos, you've seen Nick Kimball and I walk through a situation where someone starts a conversation with someone on the main thoroughfare or quad of the campus. What are we doing as members to practice this stuff with our fellow chapter brothers? What are we doing to maybe get on the phone or on Zoom with members of the expansion and growth team, members of the regional staff? Make sure that you are walking through different scenarios, good and bad, things that you're very familiar with on your campus environment. Practice some of these phone call interactions that you can be having with those individuals on that you're meeting through Zoom or online courses, the people that you met before quarantine, whatever it is, as simple as checking in and seeing how someone is dealing with the sanity during the quarantine period, making sure that they're well stocked during quarantine period, whatever it may be. Make sure that we're walking through this stuff. It's extremely important. When it comes to planning for recruitment, are we getting buy-in from the current members of the group so that way we can best plan for what's something that we're going to be able to get our members to turn out for? Another piece is, don't be spending tons of money on events. The most important part, in my professional opinion, is find events that are going to be catchy, that are going to be innovative, but more importantly, make sure that you're building as many connections and relationships as possible, whether that's virtually or person to person. Recruitment is a game of numbers. The farther and wider we can cast our net, the better scenario we have for getting more and more people to come over to the fraternity. Whether we're talking to a few hundred people or talking to maybe it's only 100 to 50 people, understanding that the number of people that you talk to directly correlates to the percentages of people that you're going to get to convert into new members. A piece of that is, what are the things that we're doing in between events to interact with as many people as possible? When it comes to fall recruitment or just year-round recruitment, the amount of time that you spend in a recruitment event itself may only be a couple of hours, but the amount of time that you can be spending grabbing coffee with someone, grabbing dinner, spending time just playing video games, catching up, studying for classes, that time can be almost limitless. Maybe it's 15 minutes to 30 minutes or an hour here and there. But the more time that you're spending with individuals outside of those specific recruitment events, that directly leads to getting to know someone better, forming a more meaningful connection, and converting those people into new members. How are we doing that? How are we prepared to practice even some of that those coffee conversations. Again, it's as simple as thinking of any interaction that you've had with someone in the past, of just grabbing coffee with someone who's in your course, talking about some of the things that you're studying to stay up to date with the professor's mandates, whatever that looks like. Rehearse some of these things, be prepared to just have normal and human interactions with individuals, but make sure that you're scheduling some of those things out, because maybe it's someone can't make your 2-hour recruitment event on Monday and Wednesday night because of night classes, but maybe they can meet for 30 minutes to grab coffee before their morning class and spend a little bit of time getting to know you. Making sure that you're finding ways to interact with them and introduce them to other members if they can't make it to those events. Those coffee meetings, those video game hangouts, whatever they may be for you, are more important in many cases than some of those recruitment events are going to be. So find ways to schedule some of those things out and prepare yourself to have some of these events. Another extremely important piece is, how are we planning for a virtual recruitment? It's one of those things that we certainly hope doesn't happen, but we need to be prepared for nonetheless. When it comes to our brand on social media, now is the time to be preparing. Start posting things. Maybe it's not every day, but every other day, and building up to a point where we can be posting every day. Find a theme that works for you, something that's getting the traction that you want. Build that brand consistency online, because that might be the only piece that people get to associate your organization with while doing virtual classes in the fall or through the summer. Finding ways to recruit people through that virtual medium. Again, online courses are going to be a major piece. If we have to rely heavily on that again in the fall semester, pay attention to who's in your courses. Start looking up people and starting to form relationships with them, looking at Instagram bios for the class of 2024, class of 2023 for the this last year. If it's looking at those sophomores of your deferred campus again, whatever you can be doing to find ways to connect with people is going to be extremely important. But again, relying on those conversation starters for, hey, I've been struggling with some of these pieces in our class. I'm trying to form a study group, and I'm hoping that you can reach back out and maybe we can get some study hours set up. I've got a couple of other people in the class that we're going to be doing these study hour conversations over Zoom for 1 hour once a week, and would love to invite you to it so that way you can be a part of that. Think of other ways that you can be setting these meetings up, these opportunities to interact with one another. Whatever it is, start practicing it now. Start preparing yourself for it now. It's all going to be extremely important regardless, so that way you can stay up to date on these skills for summer courses or for fall courses. Hopefully we can get back to in-person recruitment. But again, prepare yourself for in-person, prepare yourself for online recruitment. That way we have everything figured out to the best of our abilities. If you have other questions about what that virtual recruitment might look like, please, again, reach out to myself, to Nick Kimball, Victor Casanova, other members of our professional staff. We're all here to help you. We're all here as a resource. I'm sure that if you drop in the comments some other ideas that you might have for tackling the virtual recruitment, happy to respond to some of those. It's about staying engaged and using the resources that you have right now. Hopefully you were able to find some of these pieces of information useful and helpful. If you have, again, other questions or ideas, please drop them in the comments below. Looking forward to creating a few more videos for you all. And I'm hoping that you guys find something useful out of these. Find a way to continue to push through the summertime. Find ways to push through the quarantine period and come out of it stronger than before. Again, thank you for tuning in, Teak Nation. And please drop some items in the comments. Happy to help you guys. Take it easy.